The marriage of men and cars lies at the heart of a sport both modern and timeless. Nowhere is danger to life more apparent or more bravely ignored. Nowhere burns brighter the fire of science or the flame of competitive will. The racing world is a kaleidoscope of drivers, dramas, deals, and danger. And one bargain ties it all together. The four-part International Race of Champions, a summit meeting of 12 proven stars. Like IndyCar star Michael Andretti in the orange car number 8, the 24-year-old firebrand long on speed and short on subtlety. Michael has a penchant for racing on the lead and a reputation for charging furiously when he's without it. Michael's father is a household name, but Mario Andretti is known as well for his spectacular frustrations at Indianapolis as for his matchless list of accomplishments. At age 46, Mario Andretti is the most versatile driver in the world. One of the richest is 31-year-old Bill Elliott, the stock car standout racing today on that circuit's Daytona Speedway. When Elliott gets hot, the battle is often for second place. A hot streak 2 years ago won him $1 million bonus. Jeff Bodine is another NASCAR star, champion of the Daytona 500, but not unacquainted with the fickle nature of High Banks Oval Speedway. In racing, danger doesn't register, and Bodine's happy to be at Daytona today. At only 23, Wally Dallenbach Jr. is already top gun in Trans Am road racing, fueled to the title by 3 straight mid-season wins. He's won on Daytona's road course. Today, he moves out to the big top. Last year, Al Unser Jr. won this IROC series, another in a freewheeling and fast-growing list of successes for a 24-year-old who was born to race and whose cool disposition weathers the weirdest of storms. Bobby Rahal may wonder if his last year was a dream. The year he floated past the leader and won the Indianapolis 500. But the Kart Series champion treats his race car as his office and never comes unprepared. No office would ever have suited Al Unser, whose romance with racing has kept him in cockpits all his life. He's seen it all. He's won IROC races at Daytona, and he's crashed an IROC car here, too. Englishman Derek Bell is a 4-time winner of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, a deft practitioner of sophisticated style. To race on Daytona's oval, he must pin back his ears and go harder. No one goes harder than Dale Earnhardt, the pugnacious superspeedway stock car champ who'll never admit what his rivals believe. If you keep him from racing to the front, he'll push to it. No one knows more about being pushed than 26-year-old Scott Pruitt, whose road racing success has so mushroomed that one rival brought the notion of taking aim at Pruitt to a dangerous new level of meaning. And no one better understands the suddenness of danger at Daytona than Darrell Waltrip, whose most recent bad memory here is from last year's 500. When you've earned $7 million, you don't need to race. But Darrell Waltrip still wants to, and will for a long time. 12 top drivers from 3 different worlds. You'll see them start this year's International Race of Champions today in Daytona. The International Race of Champions is being brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Budweiser, the genuine article, Beechwood Ace, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. No matter how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by AC Delco. Stay ahead of trouble with AC Delco parts. This, as you can see, is a spectacular day at one of the world shrines of automobile racing, the Daytona International Speedway. Hello, I'm Jim Lampley, and welcome to this first of 4 races that make up the International Race of Champions series, the idea of which is to bring together race car drivers from differing backgrounds under what amount to uniform conditions and try to see who's best. The overall champion in the series, determined by points awarded in the 4 races, will win $175,000. And there are Indianapolis-style racers, stock car racers, and road racing drivers, all of whom are ready to go for that prize, all of them racing in Chevrolet Camaro Z28 cars, which in theory at least have been prepared equally. Here to say more about that is our ABC Sports automobile racing expert, Sam Posey. And Sam, what about the notion of equal cars? Is that really possible?
No, it really isn't. Of course, there's always been the premise of IROC that the cars were equal, but frankly, despite the best efforts of the men that prepare the cars, there are small differences. Now, we'll be looking for those differences in case in any way they do affect the story of the race. Frankly, I doubt that they will. The differences between the cars are so slight, it probably matters more what the drivers actually weigh.
You know, in a sport with so many different kinds of competition, though, the concept is really intriguing. What is its appeal to the drivers?
Well, it's enormous because in this day and age where racing has become increasingly technical and increasingly a team sport, the emphasis of on the driver has been diminishing steadily. So this is a chance to go out. It's really old-fashioned racing, you know, and prove what you can do. There are no pit stops. There's no strategy to talk about. You are not allowed to tune the chassis of your car, the suspension in any way. You probably can't even cheat. It's just up to what you can do in the car. And the guys that come to IROC are the kind of people that are proud of what they can do, and they want to prove themselves. It gives them a great opportunity.
Well, this is the 11th year of the IROC series, and it has always attracted some of the greatest names in automobile racing. One of them standing by right now with Jack Arute, who will be working for us today in the pit. Jack?
20 years ago this weekend, Mario Andretti captured the Daytona 500. So, Mario, there's no question that you know the quick way around here.
I hope so. Hope I haven't forgotten.
What about another impending, very important moment for you? Coming up, your son Michael and his wife expecting the delivery of your first grandchild.
Well, that's very exciting, but I hope the kids will just behave and call me uncle. They'll do a lot better in their toy department if they do that, at least for a while until they get used to it.
Now, the race today, you're mired back in the middle of the pack. What can you do to get your way to the front?
I haven't got a clue. I don't know what I'll have to do. I think we all feel pretty much the same. We don't know how the cars are going to behave. As you know, this is the first time that I really sat in this car. And we'll just have to wait until the flag drops and see the way the chips fall. Just hope we're right in there.
Well, if experience counts for anything, Mario Andretti will be at the front. Jim?
All right, thanks, Jack. And it's a privilege now for me to be with the newest member of our ABC Sports Auto Racing coverage team, three-time Indianapolis 500 champion, and a man who won IROC back in 1975, Bobby Unser. Bobby, this, of course, one of the great stock car racing centers in the world at Daytona. So would we assume that the stock car racers have a big advantage here today?
Well, I have to think they should have a big advantage, Jim. Number one, all the NASCAR guys race stock cars. That's what they do for a living, and that's all they basically race. Number two, Daytona is the home track for most of them. Yeah, but then you better not forget the kart guys, because the kart guys drive Indianapolis cars, they drive stock cars, road races. They're very versatile, and they have one more number. One of those numbers is Michael Andretti, who is a little bit lacking in experience on high-speed ovals. The guys that are going to hurt the worst is going to be the road race drivers. They have no experience on these type of tracks. They're darn good on road circuits, which is going to come later in the IROC quarter.
And there'll be plenty of time to worry about that, but today we are racing at Daytona in beautiful weather. Temperature in the 70s, visibility quite clear, just a light breeze that shouldn't bother the racers too much. They draw for starting positions, and here's how the grid looks. With Darrell Waltrip on the pole in row 1, Wally Dallenbach Jr., road racer on the outside. Row 2, Derek Bell, the road racer, and Bill Elliott, a stock car driver. Row 3, Jeff Bodine from NASCAR, Mario Andretti on the outside. Row 4, defending IROC champion Al Unser Jr., and Dale Earnhardt, a Charger, outside of him. Row 5, road racer Scott Pruitt, and number 17, Al Unser Sr. Row 6, Michael Andretti on the inside, and Bobby Rahal on the outside. And now, the green flag as they get underway for what will be a 40-lap race on this 2.5-mile tri-oval Daytona Speedway. And you can see as they come off of the line, the car's not yet really jockeying for position. The sensitive spot on that grid is on the outside of row 1, the white car. Wally Dallenbach Jr., at age 23, is racing today in a stock-type car on a high-bank oval superspeedway for the very first time in his life. And some of the stock car drivers were interested to see exactly how he'd handle that. But right now, Dallenbach is hanging in there in good position, managing to maintain his speed. As you see car number 5 5, Bill Elliott pulling up behind him to catch the draft. And now Mario Andretti is moving up in car number 22. So Andretti has made the most definite early move as he tries to take an inside line and now pulls in behind Bill Elliott. On the outside of Andretti, that is car number 12, Dale Earnhardt. As they come back onto the front straight, a bit of a surprise that Wally Dallenbach Jr. remains on the lead. He's only led one lap, but that in itself is an upset. Back into turn 1, 180 miles an hour. And already there's trouble at the back of the pack as Bobby Rahal and Michael Andretti tangle with one another. It looked like Michael Andretti got all the way up into the wall and then came down on top of Rahal. The two cars at the back of the pack, unaccustomed for both drivers. Sam, it looked like they might have gotten a little bit impatient.
Yes, because the way the field's strung out, Jim, if you were back there, you were already 200 yards or so out of the lead. And in this race, which is only 100 miles, you see Michael Andretti, thought to be really the hottest of the pistols coming into this race. In some ways, there's Bobby Rahal's damaged car, damaged on the right front there. Let's have another look at what happened. I think we're seeing, it looks like Michael Andretti triggered the whole thing by hitting the outside wall, and he was the one that involved Rahal. An exact duplication, incidentally, of what put Rahal out of here right on the first lap last year. So he is having no luck early in the game at Daytona and IROC.
Rahal's had unbelievably bad luck at IROC here at Daytona. And you suspected, Bobby Unser, that Michael Andretti, a Charger, might get something going on the first couple of laps.
Well, he had one of two problems. He either had a tire right rear go bad, or he just had too much wind disturbance back there and got him spun, because he obviously spun and Rahal could do nothing to miss him.
There's a look at the damaged car of Bobby Rahal quite clearly. He will be through for the day. You suspect, of course, that the same is true of Michael Andretti. So, with only one lap completed here at Daytona, 10 of the 12 cars are left in the race. Cameras are installed today. Just ahead of him, Dale Earnhardt. The car is in single file and still under the yellow flag with only one lap completed. Yellow flag laps in International Race of Champions competition don't count. So as they get ready to go green and start racing again, only one of the 40 laps in this race has been completed. And the car at the head of the pack is the white one belonging to Wally Dallenbach Jr., still with the lead at this point. I have been made a liar by Bobby Rahal. To my astonishment, Rahal has patched up his car in the pits and is back out on the track. But a big surprise, Sam Posey, Wally Dallenbach still with the lead. I'm not sure he would have thought that he could still be there.
No, I don't think Wally himself, who we talked to at great length yesterday, believed this. He has almost no oval experience at all, only what he has been taught by Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, who have been coaching him. Now, all of a sudden, he's leading. He's got to be looking in his mirrors and wondering how he happens to be out front and how long it's going to last. It's a very nerve-wracking situation when you frankly expect to be passed.
There's a good look at the cars. Bill Elliott right there on the rear bumper of Wally Dallenbach Jr. And Bobby, for years we have talked about the importance of drafting in stock car racing. How important is drafting here?
Well, it's really important. If you just watch there, Darrell Waltrip pulled out a line and tried to make a pass. Somebody had to try it sooner or later, and he promptly went right backward. There he is right now. And what happens right now is they're all afraid to pull out a line because the cars don't really draft super well. You can see the cars are very, very careful just to totally follow each other, because if they go out, they're scared they're going to be in 10th place.
You have the road racer Dallenbach in front. The stock car driver Bill Elliott behind him in second place. The Indianapolis-style driver, one of the most versatile drivers in the world, of course, number 22 Mario Andretti in the black car in third place. Dale Earnhardt jockeying for position in the red car in fourth place, and behind him, having now moved into fifth, is Al Unser Sr., who is in the silver car. Those five are beginning to put a little distance between themselves and the other six cars still on the track, and Dallenbach still holds his position, Bobby.
But you can watch the other two cars. You can watch Walter or Elliott and Andretti. They're both moving off to the side a little bit, feeling that new air. The see if they think they have a chance to get by young Wally.
Down the backstretch into turn number 3 on this, the 4th of 40 laps. Very early. If the pattern is developing, it does not seem to favor, as of the moment, any one class of racers, Sam.
Well, except this. Watch the fact that the more experienced oval racers feel more comfortable running their cars higher up against the wall. And you see a move right there. Wally Dallenbach does not feel comfortable that close to the wall, and it may just be costing him right now, Jim.
Indeed, it is costing the lead. It's Bill Elliott, who goes out in front, carries with him Mario Andretti, who goes into second place. Earnhardt is now side by side with Dallenbach. Dallenbach, carrying the lower line, moves back ahead at least for the moment.
At least he got back up into the line. Now, if he hadn't have got back up into the line, he was probably going to go to back end of the whole stereo score.
Earnhardt, who was right behind him there in the red car, let him back in, knowing that Earnhardt would then catch a momentary draft. And you see that as they went down the back straight, Dale's strategy worked out perfectly. He's where he wants to be. Wally is now on the inside and about to lose another place. He's probably going to lose a place to Al Unser Sr. and possibly Al Unser Jr., all within the one lap. In other words, he is the man out of the line, the dreaded no draft situation. He is having to push all the air out of the way as the others start by one. We knew it would happen, Jim, but it's interesting. It's a kind of textbook occasion of what happens when you take a great young driver like Wally Dallenbach, but you put him in a situation where sheer experience counts for so much.
Now, here is the view from inside the car of Darrell Waltrip. And, Sam, you pointed out how there can be small differences in the cars. You might guess at this moment that Waltrip doesn't have a good one. Meanwhile, Mario Andretti drops to the inside and goes by Bill Elliott. So Andretti, for the moment, has the lead. Andretti, the kart racer, most of his career out in front of Elliott and Earnhardt, two stock car racers. That was a brief look at Dale Earnhardt as he does his work behind the wheel of the red car. And as they go once again down the backstretch, that is Elliott, who has now moved ahead of Andretti along with Dale Earnhardt. Mario Andretti trapped for the moment on that low inside line, and the stock car racers locked to one another in the draft, going by on the outside. And there's a look from the inside of Al Unser Jr.'s car as he too goes by Andretti. And Andretti, recognizing the futility of the inside line, pulls back up in the line behind Al Unser Jr. So there's been a reshuffling now as Dallenbach drops back and Andretti moves up, only to suddenly see the stock car racers run behind. Elliott and Earnhardt with the lead. Al Unser Sr. in the silver car in third place. Al Unser Jr. in the yellow car is back in fourth place, and Mario has fallen all the way back to fifth.
Now, so far, if you look at the front of the pack, Jim, you're going to see that everybody there has a tremendous amount of experience on the high banks. The NASCAR guys are very much in contention, but the kart guys are doing very well also.
That's the camera in Al Unser Jr.'s car, turned around and facing backward. You get a perspective there on how close Mario Andretti comes to Al Jr.'s bumper as he carries the draft down the back straight.
Well, you know, Jim, the two leaders, Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, you know, both being experienced NASCAR men who are going to be racing this same weekend at Daytona. Their Daytona cars, their Grand National cars, run this track about 25 miles an hour faster than this. So to them, these speeds, which are still in the high 180-mile-an-hour range, you see Ray Hall has come in, obviously, for more body work. These speeds, to them, seem like they're absolutely parked. I've talked to these men, and they say, geez, I mean, you just go round and round and round. So for them, it is purely a battle of strategy and nothing more. The speed doesn't faze them at all, despite the fact it's 185 miles an hour.
8 laps completed, stock car racers in front. Elliott, Earnhardt, chased by the Unsers, and we'll be back.
Rick Mears has a lot on his mind. His car, his competition, but not his motor oil, because he uses Pennzoil. In all his years of racing with Pennzoil, he's never had an oil-related breakdown. Which explains why Rick Mears isn't just one of the fastest men in racing history, but one of the smartest as well. Pennzoil, the standard of protection since 1889.
Daytona in the first race of the International Race of Champions Series, and there is a look at the baby blue car of number 5, Bill Elliott, who is in front ahead of Dale Earnhardt. This has already been a big week for Elliott here in Daytona, who has qualified on the pole for the Daytona 500 and who has even signals that he may have another red-hot campaign in stock car racing ahead of him, similar to what happened in 1985 when he won a record 11 Grand National stock car races. And like any athlete, Bobby Unser, I have to assume that accomplishment builds on accomplishment in a sport like this. Even when you're jumping from car to car, you must feel as though if you're hot, you're hot.
Oh, all these guys are more than capable of doing that. They're so flexible, so versatile, they can get into most any form of racing. The NASCAR guys usually run stock cars, we said earlier, but the IndyCar guys jump all over the racing spectrum. You'll watch a lot of times when these cars are going down to the turn, they'll get off to the side a little bit. They're really not attempting a pass. Like you see, the cars are not totally in line. They're trying to get a little bit of air to their radiators to cool them, because if they're tucked in really tight, the engine temperatures start going up, and of course then they'll eventually blow their engines.
Now earlier I suggested that perhaps Waltrip had a car that wasn't behaving as hot as the rest of them in the race, but Waltrip has stayed with the pack, and he is in the thick of things in 6th place now. And right now, as you look at, again, the two leaders, Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt, and the rest of the pack bunched up behind them, let's go down to the pits and Jackaroo.
Well, the first aid remedies continue for Bobby Rahal. Bobby, it's a lot like driving a snowplow out there.
Sir, I didn't hear you.
A lot like driving a snowplow.
Just about, yeah. I mean, it's disappointing because the car felt really good, and there's just nothing I could do. Michael lost it and had nowhere to go.
It's now a case of sit back and ride.
Here's a man who's coming off the biggest year of his life, championship at the Indianapolis 500, won 6 races on the kart circuit. Things just couldn't have gone much better for Bobby Rahal in 1986. And if he was due for a little bad luck, he got it here today.
Yeah, but you know, the guy that gave him the most trouble all through the season was Michael Andretti. They wound up in the kart finale in Miami, dueling for the championship, and today it was Michael who visited the bad luck on Bobby. Sort of retribution, I guess.
Now there's the bunch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all together as they go into turn number 2. It is Elliott and Earnhardt still in front. Then the youngsters, Al Sr., Al Jr., the black car of Mario Andretti, Darrell Waltrip in the blue car, starting to sneak up a little bit on the inside, or is that Jeff Bodine? That is indeed Jeff Bodine in car number 2. We haven't mentioned him too much, defending champion in the Daytona 500, and Bodine begins to make a move as he pulls ahead of Scott Pruitt in the lavender car, number 4.
And if you haven't heard of Scott Pruitt in that lavender, almost pink car on the extreme right of your screen, it's because he's just 26 years old, very young, up-and-coming charger in the area of road racing. This is really his first occasion to race against the very biggest names in the sport. As you can see, he's holding his own. He's trying to learn. He's tucked right in there behind Bodine, which is a good place to be. All of the younger guys have been trying to learn from the more experienced men, and Bodine has been among the most generous in teaching them. Bodine, and I think also especially Darrell Waltrip.
And there is the royal blue number 2 car of Jeff Bodine, perhaps playing a little bit of possum for the moment, back there in 5th place. He seems to be able to move up if he wants to. It is still Elliott in front, Earnhardt in 2nd place, the 2 youngsters, senior, then junior, Jeff Bodine in 5th place, Mario Andretti behind them. The cars still getting into that draft and lining up single file as they go down both the front and back straightaways. Remember that Michael Andretti hit the wall on lap 1 and has not been back. Bobby Rahal has come back. Michael hasn't, and right now, Michael Andretti standing by in the pits with Jackaroo.
Michael Andretti has made his way back to the pits. Michael, what happened?
Going into turn 2, I was stuck behind Derek Bell, and it seemed like he hit the brake. He slowed down so fast, and I darted to the outside, and you know, it was partly my fault. I just couldn't make the corner. I turned it, and I wouldn't turn, and I just kept going straight right into the wall.
12th place finish here, but any consolation with the fact that at Mid-Ohio you'll be starting on the pole?
Definitely. You know, we're definitely not out of it. Al Jr. was 12th last year and went on to win the championship, so if we can do the same, I'll still be happy.
Positive thinking, Jim.
Yeah, Jack, in a strong sense of history. I imagine whoever went out first today would probably have referred to Unser Jr.'s experience a year ago. There's a look from inside Unser Jr.'s car, and you can see Jeff Bodine in the blue car number 2 trying to go by on the inside, but now Al Unser Jr. shuts him off, holds him to that inside line, and goes back on by. Still, You might suggest, based on what we've seen so far, that there is more power in Geoff Bodine's car than his position in the race would indicate right now. Now Bodine begins to slip back a little bit on the inside as those cars on the outside line continue to hold on to the lead. Bill Elliott in the powder blue car. Dale Earnhardt in the red one. Behind him, Al Unser Sr. in the silver car. Al Unser Jr. in the yellow car. Now Mario Andretti and Scott Pruitt have moved back in front of Bodine, so there is more traffic than ever before in recent laps between Geoff Bodine and the lead. You look at that in-car camera look at Al Unser Jr., and you get a little bit of a glimpse of the physical effort involved in racing. They aren't just sitting there in the car, Bobby. There is a little bit of wrestling involved with that steering wheel.
Oh, there's so much concentration you can't believe it, but they aren't as hard to drive as a regular stock car because they have a lot of air holding them down to the ground. The Camaros just have a tremendous amount of air gluing them right into the turns, and that's one of the reasons they're having problems slipstreaming each other.
Yeah, and also, Bobby, there's another point to add to that, which is that the cars here have been set up to be very stable. If they were set up to be what is called loose, with the tail sliding out, the way the Grand National stock cars, there's a crash.
That is Al Unser Sr., who spun out on the inside of the track, and now there are 4 cars involved at least. You look at Unser Sr. on the outside of the track. They're spinning toward the inside. The white car number 1 with Wally Dallenbach Jr., and I will wait to be sure which other cars were involved. The yellow caution flag is out. That was quite a conflagration in turn number 2.
You could see that starting to happen right here in front of the start and finish line. Al's car just started getting loose in the rear end. Whatever happened, you can't tell. It could be a flat tire, but the car just got loose, and that started the whole thing.
Now, as the smoke begins to clear, there is a look at Mario Andretti's car. It is a shambles. Al Unser Sr. up and out of his car, taking off the gloves and the helmet there, right on the apron of the track, just inside of turn 2. And as he walks away and Mario Andretti moves toward the pit, my guess is that a total of 4 cars were involved in that crack-up. And there, Unser Sr. gives the thumbs-up sign to his son, Al Unser Jr., as the yellow car goes by.
Ron Castile on Issues and Answers, 10:30 a.m.
The continued yellow flag here at Daytona gives us a chance to point out a new show debuting tomorrow on ABC Sports, 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Mutual of Omaha's Spirit of Adventure, Donna DeVerona, bringing you the first attempt by an American woman to reach the summit of Mount Everest. Meanwhile, they are still in single file and waiting for the green flag. Scott Pruitt's car being hauled to the pit, apparently through for the day. And let's take a look back at the 4-car crack-up triggered Bobby Unser when Al Unser's car began to fishtail on the front straight.
Yes, and you can see, just watching now, you can see the tire just shred. He obviously ran over something, punctured the tire. He lost the car. There's nothing you can do to save him. What happens with that? And the other cars just start going every place trying to miss whatever there is on the track.
And as Unser Sr. went to the inside and then to the outside of the track, you saw the other 3 cars which became involved. Wally Dallenbach Jr., Mario Andretti in the black car, and Scott Pruitt. Sam Posey, another look.
Well, first conclusion is it just shows you how bad luck can strike. I mean, no matter what a good job you're doing, and Al was driving beautifully, suddenly he picks up a puncture. The second point is it shows on a super speedway how one guy's misfortune can trigger an accident that will involve a great many others.
Now, one of the fascinating elements of this is that Al Unser Sr. was right in front of his son, Al Unser Jr., at the time trouble struck. And here's exactly what Unser Jr. saw from his driver's seat looking through the windshield as his father's car began to fishtail and then disappeared onto the apron of the track. A year ago, it was little Al who had bad racing luck here at Daytona, but this has been a good year for Al Unser Jr. Last month, baby daughter Cody arrived, new playmate with the third in the line of Al Unser's, Mini Al. Dad and Mom Shelley know they're living the good life now, thanks to little Al's special talent for driving a race car. It has really created a sweet time for the Unsers.
I'm really nothing different than any other race car driver that really wants to win, and will put the effort towards it. You know, I or my dad or A.J. Ford or anybody of that matter does not walk on water.
Maybe not, but he waded through it pretty well. Al has been successful at every level of racing he's tried, and he's tried plenty. At 24, Unser Jr. has won championships and races in sports cars of all types. He's won 4 IndyCar races, but not the big one, the Indianapolis 500, quite yet. He's happy to return to IROC as defending champion and happier to have a chance to race his dad.
Very much so. Very much so. I like Dad going wherever I go. It was really funny in 1985 for the 24 hours of Daytona. Foyt had called Dad up and said, would you come down? And Dad had told Foyt no, and this and that. And I said, come on, Dad. You know, I'm going down. Let's go down and have some fun. We talked him into going down, and he went down and won the race. So I like it when Dad's there.
And is Al Jr. looking ahead to the time when his son, Mini Al, is there, too?
It's too soon for Al to know or, anything like that, what he wants to do. But as long as he does his best and puts his best effort towards it, that's all I care about. I'll help him as much in anything that he does do.
Racing is reality. Al Jr.'s fantasy is to fly supersonic jets. Why?
I think it has to deal with touching the outer limits of life and trying to improve everything about life.
It's hard to imagine how life could much improve with all the championships, the race victories, the millions of dollars in prize money. You would think that Al Jr. has arrived. He says no.
Nope. I haven't won Indy, so we're not there yet.
He has won the International Race of Champions, like his father Al and his uncle Bobby. This year, he'd like to win it again.
We know some guys who get up early in the morning just to rock and roll.
Look at the patched-up car of Mario Andretti. After a heavy application of duct tape to the front end, he took it out onto the track for one lap and now takes it back into the pit. Meanwhile, the green flag comes out and they'll go back to racing. To recap, there have been 2 accidents. 6 cars total involved. 3 of them out of the race. Michael Andretti, Al Unser, and Scott Pruitt. 3 of them 1 lap down for having entered the pits under the green flag. Bobby Rahal, Mario Andretti, and Wally Dallenbach Jr. 6 cars still on the lead lap. 5 of them with a chance to win. The 4 stock car racers, Jeff Bodine, Darrell Waltrip, Bill Elliott, and Dale Earnhardt. Also Al Unser Jr. English road racer Derek Bell is on the lead lap, but has not been a factor in the race. And they're the 3 leaders. Bill Elliott in the powder blue car, Dale Earnhardt in the red car, and in the yellow car, Al Unser Jr.
And you know, Jim, it's an interesting fact that as we see the camera in Al Unser Jr.'s car, suddenly he's emerged as a favorite in this race, and yet he has never, despite all the successes he's had in the last few years, he has never won a major race on an oval. So it's amazing that suddenly, right now, he has maybe the best chance he's ever had to do that.
Look at Bodine making a move on the inside, Bobby.
Well, there's not very many cars left in, so we're going to see what the contest is right here. I don't think Bodine's going to make it, and if Al keeps it tucked up into the next car, Bodine will never get by, but he doesn't have a whole lot to lose this time.
Al Unser Jr., who at age 24 remains one of the youngest of all big-time racers anywhere in the world, has already proven his skill at various different kinds of racing, and his IROC championship last year underlines that versatility. Bill Elliott, who is looking forward to another sensational year in stock car racing, would love to continue an already successful week with a victory in this race. What of Dale Earnhardt, Sam Posey, a fascinating man known as a rough and rambunctious racer, despite the fact that he finishes almost every race he enters, and I think he would really gain some personal satisfaction from a win in this.
Yeah, he would. There's Earnhardt at the wheel. He looks like a gunfighter, doesn't he? He's an old-fashioned kind of guy that'll glare at you and stare at you. You see him now being possibly edged back to second by Bodine's move on the inside, but they're going to be side by side through that turn. No, Bodine is not making it stick on the inside. Earnhardt is a tough customer, and yet You know, he's the only guy, Jim, that told us that he was going to share the money that he made in IROC with his regular crew, with his NASCAR crew, because he said, hey, they're the guys that got me here in the first place.
The blue car following Bodine now to the inside line is that of number 7, Darrell Waltrip. And earlier in the day, I suggested that he might have a slow car, but, of course, the 2 accidents have played somewhat into his hands, and he can see the action very well from where he is.
Well, they're playing teamwork. Bodine and Darrell Waltrip are teaming up together now, trying to get by those 3 cars that are on the right-hand lane. And they just may do it. If they stay there long enough, they just may get together on enough air. Well, there's Bodine moving in. He grabbed 3rd place from Al Jr. So what he did is he grabbed his slot and went for it, left Waltrip hanging on the last part of it there.
And on the outside, Dale Earnhardt goes for the lead ahead of Elliott. Now you have 3 across, with Earnhardt on the outside, Elliott in the middle, Jeff Bodine ducking down onto the inside, Al Unser Jr. trying to follow Bodine. Now he's going to stay right where he is, and it is Bodine who has taken the lead away from Bill Elliott as Earnhardt follows along.
Now we're starting to see a good race. Air's not playing such a big factor as it did early in the race with 12 of them. There's just not anywhere to go backwards, so you're going to see some good side-to-side racing, which is going to make it a lot better.
And it looks for the moment as though Bodine would like to sneak away just a little bit, but they're beginning to reel him in again.
Oh, yeah, you cannot run by yourself. You can run in a 2- or 3-car draft. A 3-car draft is really ideal. One car breaking the air away, the next car kind of riding free, and the rear car closing the air off. So as you see very quickly, they reel Bodine in. But you know, there are the leaders, except for Al Unser Jr., 3 stock car men, right? And I mean, outset before the race, Jim, the stock car men should have an overwhelming advantage here. And really they do. But you know, of all these guys, Bill Elliott may be the best road racer. I mean, he may be thinking ahead to the road racing.
Well, to what degree does a little Al feel like a fish out of water out there, Bobby, among the 4 stock car stars who surround him?
He's got more experience for a 24-year-old boy than anybody I've ever seen, and he's got a lot of experience in this type of car and this type of track, so it isn't going to bother him at all. He's cool and collected.
It goes without saying that race drivers are unflappably calm, but Al Unser Jr. seems to take that particular description almost to another level. And right now, he's in 3rd place in this first of the 4 races that make up the International Race of Champions Series, in which Al Unser Jr. is the defending champ. Of this 100-mile race on the famed Daytona International Speedway. Now, that was the scene moments ago as English road racer Derek Bell perched himself on the window and outside his car to avoid the smoke and fumes in the cockpit from an apparently blown engine. So Bell is the 7th car to have suffered a mishap today, and he's now out of the race and standing by with Jack Arute.
Derek, a smoky exit from Daytona. What happened?
Well, I was just going down the back, minding my own business. I wasn't enjoying the race very much. And I just turned into turn 3, and it just suddenly blew itself apart. And, of course, then it caught a light, which I didn't like very much.
Well, you weren't very competitive, but you did get some laps in.
Just a few laps, yeah. I wish it had blown up earlier on, then I wouldn't have had to go through the whole lot.
Gentlemen, one other thing we'd like to point out. On Derek Bell's car here, you see the front of the radiator. It's picked up a lot of debris. And if he's got it, so do the rest of the guys that are still in competition. Maybe that could be the determining factor as to who goes to victory lane.
Well, Jack, we will soon know who's going to victory lane, as there are now 8 laps to go on this 2.5-mile speedway, and we look at the 6 cars that remain on the track. 5 of them on the lead lap. The last car in the procession there, the white one, belonging to road racer Wally Dallenbach Jr., is 1 lap down. So the 5 which still have a chance are the ones driven by the 4 stock car racers, Bodine, Elliott, Waltrip, and Earnhardt, and Al Unser Jr., the defending champion in the series. Now, you take a look at them as they line up. It is Bodine on the lead. Dale Earnhardt right on his bumper. Bill Elliott is the man in 3rd place. Al Unser Jr. in 4th place. And Darrell Waltrip, perhaps a bit antsy, back there in 5th place with a car which simply has not been able to perform today on the same level with those with whom he is competing. So we are poised now for the classic late lap stock car drafting duel. And the advantage in this situation, you must believe, belongs to the 4 men who know this raceway so well and know the technique of drafting and looking for an edge in these kinds of cars. And by that, of course, we mean the leader, Jeff Bodine, the man right behind him, Dale Earnhardt, the man behind him, Bill Elliott. It's hard to believe at this point that Waltrip will be able to make an effective move in these closing laps, but certainly now is the time if it's going to happen at all. You can see Waltrip perched on Al Unser Jr.'s rear wheels and looking for a place to go. Waltrip goes high toward the outside. Dale Earnhardt moving up to the outside to take a look also. And we've had some racing luck. All three of our race cams still intact. What were the odds on that? Here is the view from Darrell Waltrip's car as he looks at Al Unser Jr.'s rear end. Here the view from Unser Jr.'s car as he views Bill Elliott in front of him. And in a moment, we'll have a look at what it looks like through the windshield of Dale Earnhardt, the man with only one car, the leader, Jeff Bodine, in front of him. And maybe Earnhardt and Elliott can bide their time a little longer, but if Darrell Waltrip's going to move, he's got to go now.
But so far, Waltrip just has not had the steam to sustain a move to the front. And now with just 6 laps to go, he is starting to run out of time. They've all said, we want to lead, we want to be out front. I mean, I think they'd all change places with Bodine right now, whereas perhaps you would not in a conventional NASCAR race where the slingshot might work on the last lap. The word here is lead, stay out there. We do not see very many lead changes due to drafting and slipstreaming, have we? Now, another point, by the way, as the sun is starting to get low, notice how dirty some of these windshields are. The in-car cameras show that. Visibility is not all that good for these drivers right now.
Now, Bobby, we've gotten so accustomed over the years to seeing the last lap slingshot in NASCAR racing, but you point out that with these cars, it won't be all that effective.
No, you see him try just like you see Darrell driving Al Jr. right now, and he's just having a hard time. He can get there, get a little help from the others, but then he just falls back very slowly. The cars just don't draft as well as they have in the years past.
So Bodine is in the best position.
Yes, he definitely is. Plus, I think his car has just a snitch of an edge on the rest of them. You can see Darrell working really hard on Little Al. He is technically in last place as far as the serial is concerned. He has nothing to lose. So he's going to just keep trying anything he can to get another position.
Boy, you got to hand it to Dallenbach. He's not even on the lead lap, and he's working just as hard as the other 5 to stay in this chase.
What an education. But, you know, it occurs to me that I think Bodine may think he has the best car because earlier he tried to make a break for it. He was zigzagging back and forth across the straight. He was trying to break the draft of the guys behind him. I think he thought he could run by himself and get away. He wasn't able to, but I think in his mind, he thinks he's got a good car underneath him. And I say, these differences are extremely subtle that we're talking about, but they might be just enough to keep you ahead in a situation like this.
The procession out of turn 4 and onto the front straight. Once again, it is Bodine, Earnhardt, Elliott, Unser Jr., Waltrip, Wally Dallenbach in the white car, not on the lead lap. There are 4 laps remaining, and now there are 3 laps remaining as they come past the start-finish line. So, this is the 3rd from the last lap. The leaders remain intact. Bodine, Earnhardt, Elliott now. Waltrip, Unser Jr. has dropped back, and it doesn't look as though Little Al is going to be able to make a run with all that traffic in front of him.
Waltrip knows if he has any chance, it's got to be now. I mean, it's going to take him so much time to get up there in the lead. I mean, it must be agony for him because, after all, he's only a few feet behind the leader, 2-3 car lengths back, and yet it could take an eternity for him to work his way up that way since he can't make a clean pass with the drafting.
A good look from inside Waltrip's car, providing graphic evidence of how difficult it has been for him to get by Bill Elliott on the inside. This time, as they cross the start-finish line, there are 2 laps remaining.
Well, Darrell Waltrip's trying. You can't take it away from him. He doesn't have the car. He can't pass him. But I guarantee you one thing, the guy gets A for effort.
Now, what about Earnhardt? He's the man who is closest to Bodine, and if anybody's going to make a run, it appears now as though it's going to have to be Dale.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I honestly think that Bodine has got the car today, and unless something happens to it, like a flat tire or something, he's just going to win this race. But, boy, I'll guarantee that Earnhardt is trying hard.
Coming out of turn 4 and toward the white flag.
Historically, remember, these are the 2 drivers that battled it out for the Daytona 500 last year. But did you notice Bodine? I'd mentioned this earlier. He actually tried to shake Earnhardt out of his draft. He zigzagged to the inside of the track. He may be trying it again now. I think Bodine is starting to hold his breath. I think he knows he may have this thing in the bag, and that Earnhardt does not have the muscle. Earnhardt, however, is trying everything. He's gone high, he's gone low, trying to reduce the drag on his car. Last lap.
Out of turn 2, down the back stretch. Half a lap to go. Jeff Bodine trying to win this first of the 4 races that make up the International Races Championship Series. And a man who has not previously won an IROC race. So now, as he goes into turn 3, comes out of turn 4, and heads toward the checkered flag, Jeff Bodine is about to hold off Dale Earnhardt and win his first IROC victory. Earnhardt second, Waltrip third, Bill Elliott fourth, and the 4 stock car racers who began this race finished 1, 2, 3, 4 with Little Al in 5th place.
3 years they've been
Competed in IROC competition before today, and in his first time out of the box, Bodine gets a victory in the first IROC race of the year. This is the man who won the Daytona 500 a year ago. He loves this race course. He's with Jackaroot in winner's circle right now.
Well, Jeffrey, congratulations. A great win. Round 1 of IROC belongs to you.
Ah, this is great. What a race. Got a little rough there in the beginning, and a few of the guys had some problems. And made it a little bit easier for us and less cars out there to race with. Boy, it's dirty out there.
What about the tail end of the race, Jeff? A couple of times down the back stretch, it looked as if you were trying to shake the draft, trying to get rid of Earnhardt, weaving back and forth.
Well, that's right. That's we call that an Earnhardt when you weave down the back straightaway, and I was using an Earnhardt on Earnhardt. But the car was awful fast. It handled good, and I guess that's probably what won the race. It just would stay at the bottom of the track. It didn't look like they could. And we just waited and waited for that last lap, then stood on it and pulled away enough to where they couldn't get me at the line.
Well, there's 3 more to go. Can you sustain it and win?
The only problem with winning here at Daytona is you start last at Mid-Ohio, the toughest road course we run on. Got my work cut out for me, but I love road racing too, so I'm going to give it my all.
Something to think about, Jim.
Indeed, 3 more races to go in the series, 2 of them road races, 1 an oval race. The racers will earn the point totals listed here for their finishes in today's race. In addition, Bodine and Bill Elliott will get extra points for having led the most laps in the race. Today, it was a sweep for the stock car races. Next time out at the Mid-Ohio road course, it could be different, as the car assignments will be shuffled. The racers will not be in the cars they drove today. So, this is Jim Lampley for Sam Posey, Bobby Unser, and Jackaroot saying so long from this first installment of the 1987 International Race of Champions. Today's telecast brought to you by Budweiser, the genuine article, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Champion Spark Plug Company. And by Pennzoil Motor Oil, the standard of protection since 1889.